Hello, and welcome to what is my most unexpected video of the year. We have, for the first time in Mario Tennis Fever's history, we have patch notes! Real, actual, tangible patch notes. I am recording this at midnight of March 26th. That is when this update dropped, and it actually did drop into the game, which I'll get into like showing you some gameplay footage later, or at least overlaying while I'm talking about patch notes. But for right now, we have our real first patch 6 weeks into the game. Some portions of the community were dooming, and I was starting to lose hope that maybe Nintendo or Camelot or whoever just kind of dumped this game, just shipped it, and just forgot about it. But 6 weeks later after launch, we are finally here. By the way, disclaimer, this is not the big video I teased. I put out like a little teaser on my YouTube posts section talking about like, I've got a big video coming. This isn't it. This is a surprise video even for me as we get these Mario Tennis Fever patch notes. Sorry, I've rambled on long enough. Let's dive right into it. And the first thing I actually want to draw our attention to before getting into the character changes, we'll go ahead and zoom right past and get a little preview. The first thing I want to hone in on is this right here, this statement, front and center, changes to shot behavior. Made an adjustment so sliding and leaping do not occur when you perform a charge cancel. However, the behavior remains the same as version 1.0.1 for multi-ball. We're going to ignore whatever's in the parentheses. We are just focusing on the first sentence here. And basically what this is saying, and I said it before in my initial impressions video, is that whenever you make an input in this game and then you cancel that input, the game would still keep your last shot like stored. Like if you press the A button to topspin and your character starts charging up, starts winding up, but then you decide for whatever reason, I'm going to cancel this shot, you'll cancel the charge, your character will cancel their animation, but like your character doing a topspin is still like going to occur. Like if you get near the ball, you will leap to the ball because the game thinks you are outside of the range of which you can press that topspin. And this would happen a lot on like lobs and drops where you would cancel your charge to go and retrieve it. But instead of fully getting to the ball, your character would take it upon themselves to just leap forward for the ball that you could have gotten, because technically you enter the zone in which your character will lunge without necessarily reaching or getting into the zone in which your character will use their range to actually scoop up the ball. All of that is to say, like the game now feels functional. If you have pressed a button to like return a shot but need to reposition, you'll no longer do like the whole sliding and leaping thing. It's a very nice change. Means that you are not punished for preemptively like pressing a button in this game where shots go very fast. I think that'll be a big boon to the defense of a lot of characters, and it just makes the game feel a lot more smooth. All right. With the big adjustment out of the way, I think that is the biggest thing to take from this set of patch notes. That is why I highlighted it first. We will now actually go over the specific character changes. So, starting at the top here, we've got Diddy Kong, gets a buff, slightly increase the strength of shots and serves, and it does feel like this is real in some contexts. I'm not so sure about serves, but when I tried out Diddy Kong's volleys, like his slice volleys and his flat volleys, they felt like real shots. Even his topspin volley felt really good. I don't know if this necessarily fixes Diddy Kong's like core problem of just feeling a little short-ranged and a little small compared to what he used to be, but this is a step in the right direction. So far, they are 1-for-1 on buffing a character that needed buffs in the area that they needed buffs. So Diddy Kong gets to win a little bit, finally. Gets to step out of Donkey Kong's shadows, of which, of course, we'll cover Donkey Kong when we get there, because we will get there. Next up, Dry Bones. The distance the ball can be hit back stably from has been increased slightly, and be prepared to see that word stably. That's my new favorite word. That is this patch's favorite word, stably. What this basically means is that Dry Bones got a bit of a range buff. He can now kind of lean over, like side to side and hit from places that he couldn't before. His speed is still abysmal, still amongst the worst in the game. He will still get tripped up in a lot of scenarios, but from what I tested, at the very least, Dry Bones sometimes now gets to play the game instead of never getting to play the game. And then the second Dry Bones buff is slightly increase the ability to aim for the sidelines. And I will say, I think this is meant to be a buff towards the drop, as Dry Bones has a gimmick drop shot buff, or gimmick drop shot, where his drop shot will curve. And I think this is specifically targeted towards that, in making sure that when Dry Bones aims his drop shot, it will be closer to the sideline instead of closer to center court, which is something that will at least help his drop shot feel like an actual gimmick instead of a nothing burger. So again, changes in the right direction. I don't know if Dry Bones necessarily gets better. I don't know if his position on the tier list will improve, but it's still throwing a bone for something that has long been dry. So congrats to Dry Bones, I suppose. And then for the next three characters, Baby Peach, Toad, and Shy Guy, they all got the stably buff. The distance that the ball can be hit back stably has been increased slightly. They all got range buffs. Pretty much nothing to comment on there, other than just I do think those characters needed it. They performed quite poorly in neutral in a lot of situations. Couldn't quite get their game plan to go. We will have to see how exactly each one of them kind of benefits. If I had to take a guess, since Toad is already naturally the fastest of these characters, he will probably get the most mileage out of this specific buff. Not to say that like Baby Peach and Shy Guy don't appreciate it, but Toad will definitely has the potential to run with the ball more. So that is all the buffs for this patch. Nothing too major. This is like the first patch. So I don't imagine they're going to do anything too major except to the outliers. And I will say, as far as outliers go, these 5 characters have been considered some of the worst by the community. So it seems like they are actually paying attention to just who is dominating and who is nowhere to be seen. But speaking of dominating, we go to the big boys, starting off with Donkey Kong. He actually gets a reverse stably buff, which is to say a stably nerf. He is now a little more wobbly Kong. The distance the ball can be hit back stably from has been reduced slightly. DK's range just getting a nerf. That's probably the most straightforward thing to explain here. Because the second nerf is made it so you start running a little later when moving. And this just refers to the acceleration of a character when they start moving and when they hit their top speed. So DK going to start running a little slower, which is a good thing. DK, for some reason, is fast in this game, despite already having really good range and coverage and all that good stuff. So an acceleration nerf, definitely the right area to hit, in my opinion. And then the last one, the motion extended significantly beyond the hit detection area while moving left or right, so his motion has been adjusted. And this is going to be the hardest to put into words. I will try to explain it. It even took me like 5 or 6 tries to comprehend what this sentence was trying to say. But basically, DK has a little bit of a shimmy whenever he moves left and right. Basically, he can move left and right really fast. Basically, what this is saying is that his motion was accelerated compared to what it should be. So now he kind of like moves left to right about like what a normal character does. And basically what this means is that DK is going to feel a lot more like Bowser, and that Bowser is a slow lad, like to really start like moving in a direction. This plus the acceleration nerf means DK is also going to be taking a little more time getting to where he needs to be. You're not going to like rocket forward to one side by simply pressing the left stick. Instead, he's actually going to take his time like every other character. So that's that for Donkey Kong. And in my playtesting, he definitely felt slower from what like the limited amount of playtesting that I did with a friend. He felt slower. We'll have to see how it actually impacts his matchups. I will say, though, giving him one weakness is a start. They are heading in the right direction in terms of DK nerfs. A lot of top players think he'll be just fine. I think he'll be just fine. But in terms of like the tier list, he's not going to have a tier list or like just a tier all to his own. He'll probably be a little more down to earth now, along with our next character, PD Piranha. PD also gets hit with the Stably nerf. He has less range, and he also got hit with the acceleration nerf. So PD less big overall, less fast. Should mean that just like Donkey Kong, he will actually have a weakness in that if you do manage to get a really good angle, you can actually get the plant monster to trip up. Before, both Donkey Kong and PD would kind of just sit center court, and you couldn't really get any shots past them. Now, they actually do have to kind of preemptively move and guard one area a little more. Definitely knocking those two back down to earth. And then the last two nerfs to characters are Rosalina and, unfortunately, my character of choice, Wiggler. They both got hit with a Stably nerf. So they're both also shorter range. For Rosalina, I never really played her too much. Couldn't really notice that much of a difference. Though I imagine people that do play Rosa might be able to tell when something feels off. Unlike Wiggler, who I have kind of honed my craft around, I can confidently say I don't know what the nerf is supposed to be. When I was playing Wiggler on ladder after the patch dropped, I didn't really feel anything. I don't know where he was supposed to be hit at in terms of range, but he didn't really get hurt. He still feels exactly like the same Wiggler, so still a top 4 character in my opinion. Probably moves up just by virtue of PD taking a pretty drastic hit, Donkey Kong potentially also taking that drastic hit, and then Rosa, I think he had a good matchup into Rosa, so pretty much bell to bell, Wiggler on the rise even when he was already near the top. Probably much more of a candidate to be the tippity top one in the game. But we will truly have to see how those Donkey Kong nerfs impact him. All right, and then we move on to the Fever Rackets, of which I'm not a Fever Racket pro, but I can at least comprehend and kind of break down what these mean. First up, Golden Dash Racket. Effect period has been shortened from 12 to 8 seconds, and you will see that a lot throughout this page, throughout these patch notes, is that a lot of these effects have been shortened. Golden Dash Racket, just a simple 12 seconds to 8 seconds. I believe there were a lot of situations in which you would activate the Golden Dash Racket and then get your meter like charged back up, and then you can just start golden dashing again. So I believe that these sort of time limit nerfs are meant to just keep the game from being like an infinite sort of like active metal versus golden dash spam. Speaking of which, Metal Racket also gets its duration nerfed from 10 seconds to 8 seconds. I guess they just want to let people know, but while the effect is active, you're now able to defeat Spinies from the Spiny Racket. So Spiny Racket kind of taking an L here. I don't know if it was actually that good or it was like some sort of hidden OP, but I assume this is probably more of a bug fix than anything, but they just felt like putting it in the buffs and nerfs section. Actually, I guess they call it changes, so maybe I guess it counts. But yeah, Metal Racket also eating a nerf. Star Racket, same deal. 10 seconds to 8 seconds, and you're also able to defeat Spiny, so less of a duration on Star Racket. Both the sort of invincibility rackets eating a duration nerf, which I believe should be, I think people were wanting that. A lot of people thought Metal and Star Rackets were S tier rackets, so along with Golden Dash and the Magic Racket. Effect period has been shortened from 15 seconds to 12 seconds, and then if the racket is already a frying pan, the motion of it transforming into a frying pan will no longer occur, which is just a visual change. So more visual clarity, I suppose, and a shortened duration. Ghost Racket, 15 seconds to 12 seconds, and then for lobs, the time it takes for it to disappear has been lengthened by 0.5 seconds, giving you slightly more time to see the trajectory of the shot, which is like the only real like other sort of nerf on this list that is not a duration. Actually, I lied. There's still one more after this, but for the first time, we're actually seeing a different sort of nerf. So you're able to see like the trajectory of the shot. I imagine, I mean, this kind of sounds like it's aimed towards Rosa plus Ghost Racket since Rosa has the curving lobs, but nonetheless. Last one, Inky Racket. The time from when ink gets on the screen to when it starts dripping down has been cut in half. From the sounds of it, it just sounds like your screen is going to be less bloopified. So you'd actually start seeing things again more quickly. All right. And then we have some bug fixes, including one where the rating on the last day of each month actually gets reset, I believe, is what that first one is saying. Fix the bug where ratings were not being adjusted on the last day of the month at 5 p.m. Basically, what you need to know there is that some people just did not have their ratings reset when the month flipped over. When we flipped over from February to March 3 or 4 weeks ago, some people just did not by their own design. There wasn't like any sort of malicious like rating manipulation or anything going on. They just didn't get their rating changed. So some people got to start at 4,000 rating. The rest of us got to start at 3,500 and below. Fix a bug where the event would not proceed after the in the sky battle in adventure. Sounds like just a bug fix for adventure mode. I wouldn't know. I have a little secret between us. I haven't played adventure mode yet. And then last but not least, good old several other adjustments and fixes have been made to improve the gameplay experience. Thank you, Nintendo, for being really specific. And there you have it. Hopefully I didn't ramble on for too long or lose anyone on the way. But yeah, really good patch, I think. I think they have an idea as to which characters are strong and which are not, as to whether or not these changes are enough to really move the needle in any significant way. We will see. I've already seen ramblings of like maybe PD is a little more hurt compared to the other top tiers. Like that acceleration nerf might be something that actually brings PD down into the realm of the mortals. As for the rest of the top tiers, we'll have to see how well Donkey Kong is recovering after these nerfs. I think he will be fine. I think he will be just fine. Wiggler still feels relatively the same. Rosa probably is fine-ish. Don't take my word for it, though. Definitely don't take my word for it. I'm not a Rosa player. And then a lot of the characters that needed to be buffed got buffed as well. So once again, thank you all for watching. I will catch you for when an actually prepared video drops. Hopefully sometime within the next 2 weeks, we'll get that big video out there and we'll have some fun. Alrighty, I will see you all in the next video. Bye.